Hi, Panda here, and in today's video we're checking out my highlights for the Nacon and Sony E3 press conferences. Now these two companies had their E3 press conferences quite late and not at the usual times, so this is why this video is up later, and we've still got EA to look forward to. But let's check out my highlights of Nacon and Sony. Let's check them out. First up is the Lord of the Rings Gollum game. Now this is interesting because I thought, oh, being Gollum is quite stealthy. I thought they would lean very heavy into the stealthy gameplay and I wasn't sure I'd like it. But this showed off a lot more platforming and free running and sort of climbing the environments, but still with some sneaking about stealth sections. So I really like the look of the setting. It's interesting how Nacon have got the rights to do it. So I'm curious to see how this pulls off. Gollum's a bit of a weird character to want to play as, it's not your go-to, that's the character I want to play for Lord of the Rings. So it'd definitely be interesting to see how they pull off the story, because he doesn't really come across as a hero character. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and how that motivates you to keep on going. So story-wise, I'm not sure how they're going to pull it off, but gameplay-wise, so far it looks really good. I quite like this platforming aspect they've gone through. So hopefully, as long as the stealth sections aren't too difficult or too strict, I won't mind. Stealth games go either way with me. Either they're at least let you recover if you mess up a little bit, and some are just too strict, oh, you got spotted, restart the level. So we'll have to see how it goes. On to our next game. Next up is Steel Rising. Now this was kind of interesting on previous press conferences where they first showed it, but didn't show any gameplay. It is kind of like a historic but futuristic game at the same time. So basically it's set around the French Revolution era, but what if everyone was robots? So this is where it's interesting. It looks like a third-person combat action game, in the vein of Bayonetta or Devil May Cry. But I really like this combination of robots that look like historical figures or dressed like they would historically, mixed with the historical setting, but this futuristicness of robots and electrical powers and what looks like magical attacks. So this has the potential, hopefully if they just add a little bit more polish, this could be a hidden gem, a really good hit hopefully. So it's interesting to see, and Nacon have made some interesting games before, so it's interesting what games they make, because I'd like to class them as more of a company that make games that are in the middle. They're not AAA high tier games, but not your budget games either. They're in the middle somewhere, so sometimes they're either really good or they don't quite hit the spot. So we'll see how it goes, but I really like the idea for this game. On to the next one. Next up is So Great. I'm so pleased, A, to see a new Test Drive game, B, a Test Drive Unlimited game, and C, another racing game. We don't get enough of these. This is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I'm not quite sure about the subtitle, but it's fine. So Test Drive Unlimited series has been a series of car MMOs. They've never felt like full MMOs, but this game, and with current generation hardware, this has the potential to be a proper car MMO, which I'm really looking forward to. And it's set in Hong Kong. It's got an interesting landscape, some countryside settings, but also some city racing, which I'm really looking forward to. The CGI clip trailer looks really good, and I'm just looking forward to see what they do. The difference with Test Drive compared to Forza Horizon, Test Drive Unlimited series so far has usually gone for a 1-to-1 scale. So the places they do are accurate to how it feels. Now I played the first Test Drive Unlimited quite a bit. It was a little bit janky, but I'm curious to see how this one does. So this is technically the third Test Drive Unlimited. So we'll see how it does. And there you go. I'm very excited to see another car game. There's not much more because we've just got a CGI trailer. So hopefully I'll show some gameplay in the near future. On to the next game. Next, onto the Sony games. And first up, came out of nowhere, and I'm so excited, is Moss 2 for PlayStation VR. Now, I really enjoyed the first Moss. Yes, I do need to finish it, unfortunately due to some situations of trying to set up the VR in small spaces. It's a little bit tricky, so hopefully once I've sorted that, I can play some more. But this looks to build on what I'd already played of the first Moss. There seems more diverse locations, some different characters and enemies. It just looks like more Moss. I don't want to give too much away, but what I could tell from the trailer and what you can see in the clip is that it definitely looks beautiful. And it's such an interesting game where you're in your VR headset, you're looking down, you're controlling Moss, but you're kind of looking over. It feels like looking into a diorama, and you can just move your head around and have a look to try and help solve puzzles and combat. So hopefully if they make it as good as the first one, kind of just want more of the first one with some different locations. That would be enough. So we'll have to see if they put any more into it. So I'm really looking forward to this, and it make another good reason to get the VR set up again. On to our next game. Next up is Arcadegeddon by Ilphonic. Now this is a colourful third-person shooter, like arena type shooter. It seems to have like, there's some different modes going on. I like the art style. It's got a cool like 80s colours vibe going on to it. It's got its own style with the music. This like has the potential to go somewhere. Now some of the trailer looked a little bit janky, but I'm hoping that's just early work, early development, so hopefully we're a bit more polished. Now I've enjoyed Ilphonic games before. They had a great arena shooter on the Xbox Live Arcade games. Obviously they made like Friday the 13th multiplayer game. Now the problem is you've had games where the servers have ended up closing and you can't play online anymore, or for some other issues they've had to discontinue like making updates or adding new content. So I'm always a little bit wary when I see an Ilphonic game now, but I'm hoping this time, maybe it's because it's their own license, or maybe they have a better deal with someone else. Hopefully they can carry on adding more stuff and keeping it more alive for a bit longer and building more of a community. So I've got fingers crossed, because it looks really colourful and it's nice to see a cool 80s neon like vibe to it. So fingers crossed for this one, but it should be a blast. I'm looking forward to trying it when it comes out. On to our next game. And last we've got Lost Judgement, a sequel to Judgement. Now I've not played Judgement, but I kind of get it's got like a Yakuza vibe to it. Now what I really like the look of this is wow, those graphics look amazing. And those facial animations look amazing. But I also like how it's got, the combat looks really fluid and good, and I know the combat was good in the Yakuza series, but also all the mini games as well, like racing, rhythm games, dog walking. There's probably loads more that are in the trailer that you can see right now. Just add to such various types of gameplay and keeps it fresh. It's not like I'm running down the street and doing more combat. There's like platforming and everything. So this adds, and I really like when games do this where it's like you've got your main bit of the game, like we all know it's full of combat, but it's nice when they mix up like, hey, now we're doing a bit of this and that. Like, and I found some of the Final Fantasy games lately have been really good for doing this as well. So I've got my fingers crossed for this, and it has actually made me want to go and check out the other Judgement, because I've kind of only just started on one of the Yakuza games and I haven't got around to playing Judgement yet. So this might actually make me want to go and play Judgement and then play this. So it has the potential to be really good, and like I said before, graphics wise it looks amazing. They're diverse mini games, so hopefully that can keep my interest. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out. So that's everything at the Nacon and Sony E3 press conferences that I enjoyed highlights. There's so many more games they did announce, but I had to narrow it down for this list about what particularly am I looking forward to seeing and checking out. And hopefully once we get our hands on some of these games, we'll do some more coverage of them. So thank you for watching, thank you to our patrons, remember to stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!